says, congregational freedom and the individual's right of conscience are central to our Unitarian Universalist heritage. Congregations may establish statements of purpose, covenants, and bonds of union, so long as they do not require that members adhere to a particular creed. That was weak. There, that's better.
We will extend to each other our wishes and blessings for peace this morning with the words from Hebrew, Shalom Aleichem, to which the response is Aleichem Shalom. Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shalom.
Please rise and pass the peace to those around you. Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shalom.
Go ahead. Yes. Please remain standing for the first hymn.
We'll be singing hymn 183 out of the Gray Hymnal.
Good morning. I'm Louise Alcorn, your celebrant this morning.
And I'm the Reverend Meredith Garmon, interim minister.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. A special welcome to our visitors. For those of you on Zoom, thanks for tuning in, and please be sure your mic is muted. If you are here with children, there is childcare, or feel free to keep them seated with you or utilize our play area in the back.
We open this gathering with an acknowledgement of the lands, waters, plants, and animals, human and otherwise, whose being is bound up with our own in mutual dependence and whose ghosts are among us still. For more than 12,000 years, humans have called this land home. The earliest were Paleo-Indian cultures known only by projectile point styles such as Clovis. Woodland and Hopewell cultures followed and are better known. Between 1000 and 1650 Common Era, the Oneata tradition was prominent in what is now Iowa, leaving a legacy in the lifeways of the region's later indigenous nations. The Iowa emerged from Oneata populations in the late 17th century, and by the 18th century, the Meskwaki and Sauk peoples had migrated westward to this region, their presence and resilience enduring to this day. Non-human kin also have histories entwined with this land. The Carolina parakeet, extinct since 1918, once roosted in these lands. This land's deep past calls to us, the present-day occupants, to join in the work of truth-telling, education, healing, and justice for all peoples and all beings.
And we bring awareness also to our current location in the rhythms of nature. Today is the 13th and last Sunday of spring. The summer solstice happens Friday evening, then the days start getting shorter again. The strawberry moon, which was awesome, was full on Tuesday night and is now waning gibbous. And it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, dads.
It is a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone.
For newcomers to our congregation who may be curious to learn a little more about us, most first Sundays of the month we have a curiosity conversation after the service. The next one will be Sunday, July 6th.
And now we light our chalice.
On the final Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice to freedom of belief. Please join with me in the chalice lighting words from the Passover Haggadah on the screen and in your order of service. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom.
We are a people of covenant, not of creed, and we express our covenant in our denomination's bylaws, our bond of union, our mission, and our relational covenant. Today, please join me in affirming our congregation's relational covenant. We covenant to care for our own well-being, each other's well-being, and the well-being of our community as a whole. We will recognize the inherent worth and dignity of all, be respectful and kind, valuing gifts and individuality of all, listen with empathy and consider the impact of our words and actions, be patient and understanding with each other, find a pathway and work for reconciliation. Our sung invocation is on the screen and in your order of service.
Today's story is The Day the Kids Took Over by Sam Apple. What do you think about them apples?
On the day the kids took over, everything changed.
That's right. Enough is enough. No more grown-up rules.
They said, make childhood fun again. And boy, did they mean it.
First change, no more bedtimes. Ever. Also, mandatory piggyback rides and books at bedtime. 2 books.
Some changes were easy, others not so much.
Syrup. Should it go on food or just be poured straight into our mouths?
Important debates were had. And of course, how many dogs should each kid have?
I say 3. Small ones. 1 for cuddles, 1 for fetch, and 1 just because.
But the kids needed a leader.
That's when they chose me. Iris, the girl who shares desserts and can carry a watermelon all by herself.
A natural choice, until Iris had to make her first big decisions.
Maybe we ask the parents what to do.
Ask the adults, Iris, that would ruin everything.
You're right. If we do that, they'll be in charge again. Nope, I'll think of the best idea ever.
And she did.
We're putting stickers on every grown-up's butt.
And they did. Glitter stickers, dinosaur stickers. One man got 4.
It was glorious. But then they asked me, what's next?
Being in charge is harder than it looks, huh?
Let's roll down every hill in the city.
They replaced sidewalks with trampolines. They made it rain marshmallows from hot air balloons. They turned the Grand Canyon into a ball pit.
And we did robot dances with actual robots. I dressed like a pirate princess zookeeper.
The kids were having the best time ever. But leaders don't stop thinking.
I needed an idea so fun it would last forever. I know, a giant house made of candy.
The kids built one in one day. Gumdrop windows, chocolate stairs, licorice plumbing.
It was perfect. Until
It started disappearing.
we're eating our house.
Yep, the front door, gone. Dining room table, delicious. And then,
My tummy hurts. I want my mommy. I never want to roll down a hill again.
it was chaos. Sticky, sugary chaos.
I had to fix it. I called a meeting. I said, being a kid was more fun before we took over.
And the kids listened.
We decided to talk to the adults, negotiate like grown-ups.
It took hours, days, maybe even 5 minutes.
But in the end, we had a deal. 1 extra book at bedtime and marshmallow rain, but only once a week.
And life went back to being normal.
Mostly.
Good night, Iris.
1 more book?
Of course.
Chapter 20, The Edict of Torda. The Edict of Torda, named for the Transylvanian town where it was adopted in 1568, gave state sanction to 4 religions: Catholic, Lutheran, Calvinist, and Unitarian. A congregation that was one of those variants of Christianity could not be persecuted and could freely elect its preacher. Queen Isabella had made the first move toward religious toleration about a decade before. In 1557, she decreed that Catholic and Lutheran would each be recognized and allowed. A bit later, Calvinism had been recognized. King John Sigismund's court preacher, Ferenc David, and his counselor and physician, Giorgio Biandrada, together launched a series of publications and took part in public debates about religion, each lasting from several days to over a week. David and Biandrada interwove arguments for a Unitarian theology and arguments for religious tolerance and persuaded the king himself. It was David who was the powerful and passionate voice in Torda in 1568, calling on the delegates to adopt the edict that he brought before them. The edict decreed, "In every place the preachers shall preach and explain the gospel, each according to his understanding of it. And if the congregation like it, well. If not, no one shall compel them, for their souls would not be satisfied. But they should be permitted to keep a preacher whose teaching they approve." In the centuries after Martin Luther had launched the Protestant Reformation, all of Europe was embroiled in religious conflict, often violent. When every other leader in Europe was choosing a side and seeking by force to impose it throughout their realm, under the assumption that a populace that shared a government must also share a religion, Transylvania alone had the wildly radical notion of religious freedom, of using the powers of the state not to promote the state's preferred religion, but to protect multiple religions.
It's you we like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you we like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your books, they're just beside you. And it's you we like. Every part of you. Your mind, your heart, your feelings. Even old or new. We hope that you'll remember. Even when you're feeling blue, that it's you we like, it's you yourselves, it's you we It's you we like. Every part of you. Your mind, your heart, your feelings. Either old or new. We hope that you'll remember. Even when you're feeling blue. That it's you we like, it's you yourselves, it's you we like.
There's more. Medley, after all, that means more than one. Okay. And this time you get to help us out because we want you to express how this song helps you. I will start out. The words are going to be up there. And in the yellow, you will join me. And you two will join me too. I'm sure you know this, right? Saying goodbye, going away, seems like goodbye's such a hard thing to say. Touching your hand, wondering why. It's time for saying goodbye. Saying goodbye, why is it sad? Makes us remember expect you to leave, but we all know sometimes you just have to go. Somehow we know we'll meet again, not sure just when, and we don't know just when. You're in our hearts, so until then, it's time for saying goodbye. Somehow we know we'll meet again, not sure quite where, and we don't know just when. You're in our hearts, so until then, wanna smile, wanna cry, saying goodbye. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. I'm Ellen Taylor, Pastoral Care Associate for our congregation. You're invited to call upon the Pastoral Care team if you're going through any significant transition in your life, just to talk it over. Reach out to us at pastoralcareteam@ucdsm.org. You can always request assistance, volunteer to provide it, or submit a joy or sorrow through the Caring Community page on our website, or by speaking to me or any member of the Pastoral Care team. It's been a great joy to have Reverend Meredith and Reverend Laura Kim with us for almost 2 years now. And so it would follow that there will be sadness with their leaving. As with all good things that touch our lives, we will forever remain grateful for our time together. We wish you well on your next adventure. It's bittersweet to share that the Williams family, James, Chrissy, and Colm, are moving at the beginning of July to Seattle, Washington, for James' new job as the executive director of the Arc of King County. James and Chrissy both wish to express their love and thanks for all the amazing people, memories, and joys they have experienced here, and encouraging everyone to stay in touch. Steve and Becky Evans celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary last Tuesday. Congratulations. And now let us share together the names of anyone we know who could use some special care and attention. You may call the name out loud or type it into the chat. And as we share these names, may the love of this community hold them all.
Dear spirits of love and ground of being, on this Father's Day we remember the fathers, those among us who are fathers, fathers each of us had, whether skillful or stumbling, whether trying or absent, for all the fathers and for all that they tried to do and did do. We give thanks for the dreams in our lives, dreams of safer spaces and places to call home for all people, hope for people to come together and work towards creating communities that heal rather than hurt, visions of making change and putting love before anything else. Our hearts, therefore, go out to the places around the world where dreams of peace and hope and love feel very distant. Those affected by the deadly school shooting in Graz, Austria, where a former student opened fire in a high school, killing 11. Those in the Los Angeles protests over U.S. immigrations and customs enforcement raids as they escalate. Those at the Israel-Syria cross-border as hostilities intensify. Those who were in the mass killings near Gaza aid distribution centers where shooting attacks left at least 80 dead and hundreds wounded. And those affected by the Mexico drug war ambush that killed 5 police officers on a highway near Frontera Comalapa in retaliation against cartel arrests. We dream of a world where all lives will never again be lost, where suffering is limited, where aid and support gets to the places and the people who so desperately need it. We dream of political change for the better, and where everyone is treated with dignity and love. We remember in gratitude all our leaders who strive with integrity for wisdom and peace. We remember in gratitude the teachers, the medical care providers, the scientists and researchers, the courageous writers and artists whose work has empowered and healed and spread joy and allowed us now to dream of justice for all, wonder and wisdom, joy and love for all beings of this earth. We ask of ourselves the mindful intention to delight in what is good, to confront what is cruel, and to heal what is broken. Amen.
May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we breathe in awareness of every pain and grief, and breathe out compassion and comfort. We light 3 candles, one for the joys and sorrows shared aloud, one for those shared in writing, and one for those held silently among us. For all of these, we now observe a minute of silence.
Ourselves in compassion calls for growing the 5 virtues: determination, repetition, owning your nobility, reproaching your demons, and aspiring to the impossible. Today we look at aspiring to the impossible. Aspiration is a vow or a commitment In the Zen tradition, practitioners recite the Bodhisattva vows. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them all. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them all. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. These commitments are, literally, impossible to fulfill. But we'd be selling ourselves short if our aspirations were any less lofty. The trick is to keep making effort toward fulfillment without expecting to complete the job. Don't be dismayed by this failure. Be encouraged by it. You will always have more to do and always be spurred on by your commitment's strength. To commit to something you could actually accomplish is small potatoes for sacred human beings like yourself. We all want, deep down, to be compassionate, giving, loving people. Wealth, fame, and skill are common enough. Much more wonderful is being someone committed to compassionate service and love, someone with the almost magical power of spreading happiness wherever they go. You can be a light for everyone around you. Everything you do, every action, role, task, can be cover for your real aspiration to free every being, end every delusion, learn wisdom from every moment, and spread goodness wherever you go. It is possible to take up the task of aspiring to the impossible.
We come now to the offering, recalling again the words of the freedom of belief section of the UU bylaws. Congregational freedom and the individual's right of conscience are central to our Unitarian Universalist heritage. Congregations may establish statements of purpose, covenants, and bonds of union, so long as they do not require that members adhere to a particular creed. The offering, then, is gratefully given and gratefully received. I've had to come to the simple truth that, like most humans, I am not fond of change. I mean, I love the change in seasons when the world goes green or goes red-brown, except when we enter summer, which is too hot and which I refer to as my 3-month captivity. I love sharing my home with an ongoing parade of cats, except when they grow old far too soon and I have to say goodbye. So I'm not entirely resistant to change, it just makes me anxious. At the end of this month, I have a birthday. It's not an exciting birthday, nor a particularly significant one. I am hospitality lead that day, so maybe I'll bring cake. When I was a child, I would become so anxious before my birthdays that I'd make myself sick. But that wasn't about facing a new year and the changes it brought. It was about whether anyone would come to my party, even if I served cake. In middle age, dear God, I'm middle-aged, I now actually muse on the turning year and what that means and all of that deep stuff. Am I my parents' child still, or do I need to parent them? Do I need to sign up for AARP? Did I miss the sign up for AARP? Will anyone notice that I'm getting older? Is there anyone left to care? While musing, I think a lot about liminal space, that space between one thing and another, or one moment and the next. Middle age itself kind of feels like a liminal space, moving from being one person to being, perhaps, another. Meredith has taught us that it can be helpful to simply acknowledge where you are in this moment before you move into another space or way of thinking. I struggle with that acknowledgement, because I worry that I haven't quite finished with that previous space. I end up in a liminal space of indecision, and I forget to thank the person I used to be and those who helped me along the way, and to say goodbye to what was. So last night, yes, I finished this last night. My best friend reminded me that transition and change aren't always the same thing. Sometimes change is just change. The light is on, the light is off. Circumstances can change, but you may or may not transition through that space. You may not change. A transition can also be a place for transformation. Transformation, my friend said, requires patience and discernment, and it does necessarily include some liminal space and time. You acknowledge where you were, you think about where you want to go, and you do it in light of the actual change in front of you. He also made a really cogent metaphor about caterpillar to chrysalis to butterfly, and how it's all the same essential matter throughout, which then becomes entirely transformed. It was a really good metaphor. However, I'm afraid I got stuck on chrysalis full of potential goo, so I can't really do it justice, but you get the point. So I still get anxious near my birthday and other transitional events, wondering what the next year or space will bring, whether I'll remember to say goodbye to what was. But mostly now I just try to enjoy the cake.
Thank you, Louise. I'll be further piggybacking on the change versus transition and the caterpillar butterfly goo thing. It's a time of change around here. Time of change for this congregation as you get a new minister. Reverend Seek starts in August. A time of change for me and Laura Kim. We are moving to South Carolina. We closed on a house there a month and a half ago, the same week that you were voting to call Reverend Seek. Sometime when I was just starting out as a minister, someone pointed out to me that all ministry is interim ministry. Whether it's for a year or 2 or 30, we serve our congregations knowing that we prepare the way for what comes after. Just as every member of the congregation participates in sustaining and developing the congregation with one eye on the future generations who we hope and expect will call this place their spiritual home long after we are gone. We ministers like to imagine ourselves as kind of Moses' figure, leading the people through the wilderness to the promised land. Moses himself, as the story goes, doesn't get to enter the promised land. His time comes to an end, and it's Aaron who takes the people the final step into the promised land. But I'm not Moses, and Reverend Seek isn't Aaron, and there is no promised land. There's just the continual unrolling of change. There are, in that process, however, different levels of change. Change is sometimes like the caterpillar becoming a bigger and better caterpillar, or like the butterfly becoming a better butterfly. And sometimes it's radically transformational, like the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Sometimes it's like going from first grade to second grade to third grade, building on what you are and what you know, and growing from there and branching out in some new ways from the same basic trunk. Sometimes, though, it's not incremental building, but a tearing down. Not building on what you know, but unlearning the knowledge and habits that served you well in their time, but now need to be unlearned. Not a new branching out, but making yourself a whole other tree. I would say that this congregation is nicely on a path of building on what you are and what you know how to do and getting better and better at that. The butterfly is more and more finding its wings, flying higher and more confidently. There are times when more radical change is needed. So what I'll talk about today is what that looks like. Not because you need it, but just to help you be ready to bravely face transformation when the need might arise for it. The congregation as a whole aside, some of you individually might be finding yourself in a place right now in life where your heart is telling you that a transformation is called for. So let me speak to that. That second type, the deeper transformational type, can be hard. Some people will make external changes to avoid real transformation. Someone might, for example, walk out of a relationship because their partner didn't measure up to the model. They might then go looking for someone else who at first appears to fit the model, but then the same cycle repeats. The partners change, but there's been no internal change, no transition into a new way of being in the world. William Bridges writes, "People who try to deal only with externals are people who walk out of relationships, leave jobs, move across the country, but who don't end up significantly different from what and who they were before. They storm out of a job, rotten, no good boss, rather than discover what it is in themselves that keeps finding such bosses to work for. They end another and yet another relationship rather than let go of the behaviors, attitudes, assumptions, and images of self or others that keep making relationships turn out this way. Sometimes we change as a strategy to avoid changing. That is, we make external changes so we don't have to internally change. It's like we have an inner concept of the cast of characters we want to play the supporting role in the show of our lives. We need a supporting cast that includes the flawless parent, the noble leader, the perfect spouse, the trustworthy friend, and so on. We keep looking for actors to play the parts, regularly switching out cast members but never realizing that the script in our head is only in our head. And that script needs rewriting. Or better, we need to let go of the idea that we can script our life. I am not the playwright of the drama of life, or even of the drama of my own life, nor are you the playwright of your life. You and I are improv actors, each of us just one member of a troupe of others coming and going on the stage. You don't even make it up as you go along, not you individually. The whole troupe collectively makes it up as we all go along. You get to speak lines and be heard and taken into account, and others speak, and you take them into account. But if you're following a script in your head, then you'll get out of sync with the troupe. You can leave them and join another troupe, and if you're still looking to play out your script, the cycle just repeats. Changes are happening, but you're not being changed. You're making surface changes, but not doing the real growth of transformation. I am drawing here on a book called Transitions by William Bridges. Isn't it delightful that a man named Bridges makes his living by leading workshops and writing books about transitions? You can change partners, you can change cities, you can change jobs, change churches, but if you're using the same strategies to pursue the same purposes, you haven't made a transition. Transition means that new purposes have emerged for you. New purposes entail new strategies. So, as Bridges puts it, one of the most important differences between a change and a transition is that changes are driven to reach a goal, but transitions start with letting go of what no longer fits or is adequate to the stage of life you are in. Transition begins with ending. And then there's some time being in neutral, in the neutral zone. And only then comes the new beginning. First, the ending. Ending requires some dissing. Not as in disrespecting, but as in disengagement, dismantling, disidentification, disenchantment, and disorientation. The 5 disses. I'll present them in that order, but they can come in any order. Disengagement. We need to disengage from the life we have had, from the person we have been. In traditional societies, a young initiative is removed from the family, taken into the forest or the desert. Divorces, deaths, job changes, moves, illnesses, and many lesser events disengage us from the contexts in which we have known ourselves. As long as a system is working, it's very difficult for a member of it to imagine an alternative way of life and an alternative identity. But with disengagement, an inexorable process of change begins. Clarified, channeled, and supported, that change can lead toward a development and renewal. Dismantling. The old habits and behaviors and practices that made you feel like yourself have to be dismantled, taken apart a piece at a time. Ritual periods can help. For 3 days, keep a vigil over the lost one. On the 30th night after the death, you have a ceremony. You wear only black for a prescribed period and hold a remembrance ceremony on the anniversary of the death. And as you do these things, you slowly dismantle or unpack your relationship or identity that you have lost. Disidentification. In breaking your old connections to the world and taking apart the internal structures required by those connections, you also lose your old ways of defining yourself. Maybe there's the loss of role that prescribed your behavior and made you readily identifiable. One way or another, most people in transition have the experience of no longer quite being sure who they are. That's disidentification. The old identity stands in the way of transition and of transformation and self-renewal. But losing an identity is uncomfortable. Disenchantment. This is the discovery that, in some sense, one's old world is indeed no longer real. Recall, for instance, the disenchantments of childhood. that there is no Santa Claus, that parents sometimes lie and are afraid and make stupid mistakes and like silly things, that best friends let you down. The lifetime contains a long chain of disenchantments, many small, a few large, lovers who prove unfaithful, leaders who are corrupt, idols who turn out to be petty and dull, organizations that betray your trust. Worst of all, there are the times when you turned out to be what you said and believed that you were not. Sometimes a significant transition begins with disenchantment and letting go of what used to seem true. And disorientation. The reality that's left behind was one in which we felt we knew which way was up and which way was down, which way forward and which way back. It orients us. But in a transition, the old sense of life as going somewhere breaks down. We feel like shipwrecked sailors on some existential atoll. Disorientation is meaningful, but it's no fun. Things that used to be important don't seem to matter much now. We feel stuck, dead, lost in some great dark underworld. After some form of disengagement, dismantling, disidentification, disenchantment, and disorientation in any order, then comes the time in the neutral zone. You are not yet the new you, but you're not the old you anymore either. You need some time to just be. The new self emerges when it's ready. You can't force it because you don't know yet what it needs to be. We need to get away for a time, not really to think, at least not in any way that produces definite results. Instead, we walk the beaches or the back streets. We sit in the park. We gaze at clouds. Only with time alone in this apparently aimless neutral zone can the inner business of self-transformation gestate. Remember that the process of transformation is essentially a death and rebirth process rather than one of mechanical modification. The process of disintegration and reintegration is the source of renewal, and it's gonna take a minute or a year. We need our neutral zone just the way an apple tree needs the cold of winter. The way out of the neutral zone is to plunge all the way into it. The way out is in. Accept that you need this time in neutral. Find regular times and places to be alone. Begin a log of your neutral zone experiences. It may be very helpful to take this pause in the action of your life to write your autobiography and reflect on what you really want. As the old purposes and meanings fall away, what really do you want? Only after some time will you begin to begin again. I've described the neutral zone as a goo phase. The caterpillar goes into its cocoon. It doesn't simply begin sprouting butterfly wings. It dissolves into goo. The goo you would find if you opened a cocoon halfway through its period. Out of that goo, a butterfly begins to take form. But you can't skip the goo. No need to rush. In fact, there's a need not to rush. If we are to transition and not merely change, it's important that we take our time. To return to the congregational level, maybe, just maybe, that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years. Letting the goo do what it needed to do. Peeling away the layers of chrysalis, fanning our wings to let them dry. And now, the butterfly is ready to fly. May it be so. Amen.
Yesterday we had a bird walk and the theme was transitions and transformations. Some said that in the midst of so much change, we actually need grounding, which nature and the bird walks are able to provide. We also talked about how birds are transitional creatures themselves and how with all their diversity, they can help us celebrate Pride Month. They can be intersex, they can change their sex, and many of them enjoy same-sex relationships. It's hard to pin birds down, just as it is humans. We are so diverse and we're constantly changing and transitioning, saying goodbye to our old selves and welcoming our new. But when does it become something perhaps more powerful like transformation? How do we open ourselves to that? And the nonprofit that encompasses the ministry that I do, we do parrot conservation, is we talk about transformative conservation. And why do we do that? Because we know, or we feel that everything has to change. We are facing overwhelming odds. The change has to be a fundamental way that humans relate to nature and each other and other species. We also think that what we do is just a Band-Aid on a deep wound. We are saving lives now, but there's no guarantee we can do it into the future. So society needs to change. It needs to become more just, more flourishing. It needs to become a place where we care for each other and other species more than we do for the economy. The call for transition, for transformation is urgent, and it's an intentional practice, which is what this congregation is doing. With your plans for the future, your future ministers, and your future ministries. It's what is happening, the bird walks we've been doing for the last couple of years is now transitioning into the Centering Nature group that's being led by various leaders in this congregation. All of this transition, this intentional transformational process means saying goodbye to the old. There is such a joyful possibility in this. And there's also grief. Meredith and I have, as ministers, have left several congregations. We began in Nashville at that congregation where we met, and Clarksville, Tennessee, then Rochester, Minnesota, then Raleigh, North Carolina, New Bern, North Carolina, El Paso, Texas, Midland, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico, back to the East Coast, Gainesville, Florida, New York, White Plains, New York, and then here now. We have loved it here, especially this congregation with all of your strivings and accomplishments and your graciousness. They say that this is flyover country, and maybe it is for the millions of birds on the migratory Central Flyway. But it's also a great place to land. And we are so glad we did. In this time of change, you have grounded us and each other. But now it's time to take off. Even though loss may be our constant companion, there is such joy and beautiful possible in the next moment. Which reminds me of Mary Oliver's poem, Starlings in Winter. It seems like what she's saying is that transformation is when we finally realize that we're already perfect and beautiful just as we are. My time here also, this poem also reminds me of my time here, of all the starlings that murmurate and roost in Grace Lake in the winter. Starlings, they are like acrobats in the freezing wind. They're rising and they're falling like some stippled star. As hard as you try, you can't imagine how they do it. How are they this notable thing full of glorious life? Oh, world, what lessons you prepare for us. I am thinking now of grief and how to get past it. I feel my food starting to leave the ground. I want to be light and frolicsome. I want to be improbably beautiful and afraid of nothing as if I had wings. Fly free, my peeps.
Thank you, Laura, Kim, and Meredith. We're going to miss you. Please rise as you're able and sing hymn number 100. I've got Peace Like a River. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like a raindrop. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
We are going to have you two come and sit on these stools again, if you don't mind. And Luis and I, we're not making any promises, but we will try our best to get through this without crying. Today, we are gathered in gratitude. You all may sit if you would like. With hearts full of thanks and tenderness, as we honor two beloved leaders in our community, Reverends Laura Kim and Meredith.
You have given so much, your wisdom, your presence, your time, your care. You've led us in worship, in walks through the woods, and in quiet moments of reflection. You have helped us grow toward each other and toward the world we share.
This is a time of transition and also of celebration. We are here to say thank you, to bless you, and to send you forward with love. Laura Kim, your dedication to conservation and your love of birds have opened our eyes to the sacred in flight and feather. You have shown us how listening to birdsong can be a form of prayer and how caring for the earth is an act of deep spiritual devotion. To honor this, we present you with this gift. Inside, you will see it is a bird quilt. Each stitch is a note of thanks. Each bird, a memory of walks and teachings shared. Each piece, a reminder of the wings you helped us find in ourselves. May it wrap around you like the warmth of this community. and may it remind you always that your flock here walks beside you in spirit. Now it's your turn, Meredith. Meredith, you have helped us root deeply in this place, its trees, its stones, its gardens, and its spirit. You have been a grounding presence, weaving care into every corner of our community. Today, we give you this gift. Inside, you will see it is a stole, made with elements of nature reflecting the land around us and the seasons we've shared, in the stillness you've taught us to notice. On the back, you'll find pieces of fabric brought in by the congregation, symbols of the many lives you have touched. Woven together, they carry our gratitude, our stories, and our love, so that wherever you go, we are with you. Please also note there is a stitching inside that says, "Peace be with you," from First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Both of these gifts were graciously made and provided by Mary Ann Sobeck. Thank you. And now, we have one final gift, something less tangible, but it is deeply lasting. We offer you the gift of our words. Memories, blessings, and reflections shared by the people whose lives you have touched. We will share a few with you now.
Laura Kim, thank you for being a part of our community and offering what is so dear to you in such tangible ways. Through offerings as varied as Easter morning bird walks to trainings on practicing compassionate communication, you encouraged our congregation to embrace the truth that we are always learning and forming our faith, no matter our age.
Meredith, I will always cherish the spiritual enrichment your ministry afforded me. I came to expect your Sunday sermons would stir my spirit to deeper reflection and just action, and you never disappointed. Thank you for all the love you put into our community. I will carry it with me forever.
Thank you both for your service of true love and care for all of us at First Unitarian Church of Des Moines.
It was our pleasure to have you grace our church for the past 2 years. Because of you, we have grown and are back on a positive track. We especially loved the weekend trip to watch the cranes in Nebraska. Have a safe move. You will be missed.
This particular thank you is from me. A year into his tenure with us, Meredith suddenly had to deal with me as celebrant team leader. I can't speak for him, but I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of fun, and will miss his humor and his sermons, and especially his theatrical squirrel. Laura Kim has brought me round on the whole, oh my goodness, so much squirrel. Laura Kim has brought me round on the whole bird thing. I'm still scared of their beady little eyes, but I more fully appreciate all that they bring to our existence. Thank you both. I will miss you.
These words have been gathered into a written form to accompany you on your journey. May they be well where you can return to again and again.
Please join me in reading our chalice extinguishing words found in your order of service or on the screen. We called forth the life of our faith by igniting our chalice. This spark of new beginnings invited us into a sacred space to reflect where we have been and where we are going. Even knowing that this particular flame intentionally ends with this extinguishing, we fear not its end. For we know with brave hearts that from every ending of our lives we are sent forth to make a new beginning. Laura Kim and Meredith, you have taught us to pass the peace to each other, to creation, and to our own hearts.
We're not quite done with you yet. Meredith and Laura Kim, now we are here to pass the peace to you. Please join us.
Join us in reading the congregational blessing located on the insert inside your order of service. You have walked beside us in times of joy and sorrow, challenged us to grow, to love more boldly, and to live with compassion, courage, and integrity. As you journey onward into your next chapter, we send you forth with deep gratitude, honoring the wisdom you have shared and the spirit you have nurtured among us. May the road ahead rise to meet you. May your hearts remain open to wonder, and may your ministries continue to be a beacon of justice, healing, and hope. We bless you with the strength of community, the fire of purpose, and the enduring grace of love. Go with our blessing, go in peace, and know that you will always be a part of this beloved community.
You go with our deepest thanks, our blessings, and our love. Thank you.
And we offer in return a final blessing on you all, beloved people.
May you keep your eyes open for what is often overlooked. The small flashes of grace in the ordinary days, the quiet calls from the margins, the fleeting wings of wonder passing overhead.
May you greet each change not with fear but with curiosity. May you enter each transition not with haste but with courage.
May you trust the seasons of your life, the migrations, the nestings, the long patient waits and sudden burst of flight. May you find journeys who, like birds in formation, ease the wind and lift each other's spirits.
We give thanks for all that you have given us, for all we have learned together, for all we have been in each other's company.
And we release you now into the care. Do I have to? We release you now into the care of one another, into the wide sky of what comes next. May you listen for the songs of new mornings and notice the ones who soar.
Go in peace.
Go in courage.
Go in love. Amen.
Amen.